'Cause they love him in Paris and London and Tokyo. Let me grab my remote because I'm going to put on some basketball as we. Wow, my hair is a disaster. Wow. Okay. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the voice of college football, Missouri Tigers Live. My name is Zach Rebellious, here as always on the Voice of College Football network of channels. I, of course, run in the Mizzou channel. This is episode 55. Isn't that crazy? I've been doing this for almost over a year now. Started last season, have taken weeks off. Obviously didn't do the bowl game. We'll get into it. I have watched the bowl game. Not a ton to talk about, if I'm being perfectly honest. The portal starts next week, or starts Friday, excuse me. I would be shocked if Mizzou had a couple of commits lined up, ready to go by this time next week. So we'll talk more. We'll know more of who's going in, who's staying out of the portal. I'm not speculating on who's going to go into the portal. I don't 100% know who is. I don't know who is coming out of the portal. And heading to Mizzou. So I have some ideas, but we're going to talk about more kind of general what they need going into the portal. So since you're here, go ahead and like and subscribe, guys. I'm here every Monday night talking Mizzou football. I'll be here next Monday. I'm headed to Columbia. This weekend for the basketball game. I'm really looking forward to that. And then, we'll be back Monday. We'll kind of have more of an idea on the portal, and of course, we'll be tracking that all weekend while my girlfriend and I are in Columbia. So go ahead and like and subscribe. We're here. The season's over, but there's no off-season in college football, not until like April. So we'll be here. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. Virginia 13, Missouri 7. Look, it's the same story we've seen all year offensively. Teams I don't think are great. I don't think Virginia's some amazing football. ZOU, sorry. I don't think Virginia's some amazing football team. They had a lot of fortunate bounces in one-possession games, which – hey, Mizzou and a lot of their good years have had that too. A couple years ago, they did hit a 61-yard field goal. They did hit a 4th and 18 against Florida. These teams, you get goofy bounces. When you're not an elite program, to have an elite season, you need goofy bounces. So, we saw a lot of what's plagued this team all year plague it again. When teams do not have to respect your pass game. And if your team doesn't suck like Arkansas or Kansas or Louisiana or UMass or Central Arkansas or South Carolina, if you're a good team, you don't have to respect the pass. You're going to eventually be able to slow down the run game. And Virginia did, largely outside of the first drive. Mizzou's got nothing for you. The defense, I saw some shade thrown the Batoon's way. And yes, Virginia was able to convert a lot on third down. I mean, if you look at the box score, I just had it. Okay. They went 13 of 23 on third down, 2 for 4 on fourth. So, overall 25 or 15 of 29 on conversions. That's greater than 50%. Mizzou was only 3 for 12, over 3 on fourth down. They were also on the field for 38 minutes, partly because they were unable to get off the field. To get off the field against this Virginia offense. But look, they held them to 13 points, and you need to win football games. You've lost football games this year to Oklahoma, where you gave up 17. You lost to Vanderbilt, where you gave up 17. You've lost to Virginia, where you gave up 13. You gave a bunch to Alabama and a bunch to – but you've lost 3 games where if you even have an average offense, you win the football game. And your season's completely changed. But they don't have an average offense. They have a really bad offense, and we're going to get into it. Kind of. Obviously it's not that same scale. Mizzou is not Ohio State, and Virginia blew their chance at their good season. Mizzou was a playoff team that year. If there was, we had what we had. But we have then what we have now. But hey, it is what it is. I guess it's not like one of the biggest wins in Virginia football history, but it's a good win for that program, and we'll see how they rebound next year in the ACC. They're going to lose a lot. I believe Chandler Morris is done. Chandler Morris should be done. This is like year 4? Yeah. Year 3? What was it? 2023 was Deion, because I just remember he was the quarterback in Deion's first game at Colorado. But yeah, something like that. Like, it's not a good program. It's just not. Neither is Mizzou. I mean, it just kind of is what it is. Now Mizzou's way better in Virginia, but not on this night. Chandler Morris was 25 of 38 for 198 yards. Chandler Morrised it. And then Harrison Whaley was 20 for 68. So Mizzou really did a nice job of slowing them down in that part of the game. Chris McClellan, God will he be missed. He had a sack. Zion Young, God will he be missed. Tackle and a half, 1.5 tackles for a loss. Damon Wilson didn't really make a huge impact. He just had the three tackles, 1 solo. The team was without Josiah Trotter, which, look, Nick Rodriguez had 15 tackles. Nick Rodriguez is a good player. So Newsom had a nice game. I thought defensively, they couldn't get off the field, but I thought they played okay. I mean, you gave up 13 points to a pretty good Virginia offense that had been able to put up points on teams at times. Virginia, did finish 40th in scoring. They struggled towards the end of the year, but Mizzou finished 44th in scoring, and we know that was kind of a joke. So, but congrats to Virginia. I don't have a ton to say about the game. I watched the game. I was at a Christmas party. Look, ESPN, Fox, we've all made it to where the Gator Bowl doesn't matter. Like, it used to matter. It used to be like, oh, cool, you're in the Gator Bowl on New Year's Day, and you're going to play, and it's going to be, a fun little game between Clemson and LSU or whoever. And now it's just, who cares? It's just another bowl game. We'll have a lot more to go into, but overall, congrats to Virginia. That was, hey, great. 10-win seasons don't come on, or 11-win seasons don't pop up on trees. Like, we know this. So congrats to Virginia. Enjoy it. We'll see what they do next year. Rooting for them. Like, how can you hate Virginia football? Like, it is what it is. Okay, so now I'm going to get a little Eli. As pointed out here in the comments, the first drive on script was perfect. Hardy breaks a 43-yard run, and you score. Jamal Roberts punches it in. Against teams with a pulse the last 2 years, Eli is 0-8. It's great, and it is good. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not being condescending. It is good that Mizzou does not lose games it should not lose. It didn't lose to bad Auburn teams. It didn't lose to South Carolina this year. It's Kansas. Like, it's good Mizzou does not lose these games to teams that are definitely worse than you are. But if you want to accomplish anything, especially now that we're going to a 9-game conference schedule, you have to be able to throw the damn football. This is we just finished year 6 of Eli. One time have they had a competent passing game. And it took Luther Burden, who, I don't know if you guys just saw this, just had 100-something yards last night for the Chicago Bears. It took Theo Weiss, who had a touchdown yesterday for the Miami Dolphins, a Heisman winner, not Heisman winner, but finished top 8 in the Heisman, and a quarterback who's getting snaps, not good snaps. He's not an NFL quarterback, but in the NFL. And you had a somewhat competent pass game. Fix it. We'll talk more about Zollers. We're going to talk about the portal here in a little bit. This is going to be a portal-heavy show. But if you want to accomplish anything in this league, you have to beat good teams. Yeah, I am tired of him saying it's on him. It's on him. Fix it. We'll see what Chip Lindsey does. If this offense sucks again next year, and look, it's great they scored 42 points against Kansas. It's great they scored a bajillion points against Central Arkansas, and they had a nice showing against a South Carolina defense that ended up not being too terrible. You sucked for the last 2 months. You haven't thrown a touchdown pass in 15 quarters. 15 quarters of football. You did not pass for a touchdown. Eli likes to run his mouth, which is fine. I don't mind it. But if you're going to run your mouth as much as he does, you can't coach this scared. There is coaching at a big program and there's coaching at a little program. Make no mistake, Mizzou is a little program. That doesn't mean you can't win big. Clemson was a little program at one point. Indiana was the littlest program of all for a long time. And they win football games. But you can't talk and be as obnoxious as he can be. And I say obnoxious lovingly because I do enjoy it. But then coach like a straight coward and be the most concerned. You can't be Iowa with bad special teams. That's what Mizzou is right now. They're Iowa with bad special teams. And not even like this year's Iowa, which could actually move the ball a little bit, or last year's Iowa, who could also move the ball a little bit. They're like 2021 Cade McNamara prime Iowa. The defense is awesome. It's not perfect. 13 to 23 on third down. We got to clean that up heading into next year. I'm sure it will. We'll talk about what they need on defense here in just a little bit. Iowa always had a pretty good run game. Maybe not as explosive, but Caleb Johnson for Iowa was getting yards. And Iowa had elite special teams. Punt, kick, everything was great. Mizzou is that. They're a little more explosive offensively. Cool, because Ahmad Hardy is the best running back in the country, not named Jeremiah Love. And you can't throw the ball. You don't develop wide receivers. Why? We'll talk about it. I just don't understand it. I don't understand how it – and again, it's on me. It's on me. Fix it. You're a top 15 paid coach in the country. I'm not delusional. I'm not expecting Mizzou to be a top 15 team year in, year out. That's crazy talk. But you have to fix it. You can't be bad at like the most significant thing in football right now. You just it's embarrassing how bad they are at passing the football and have been for the longest time. So we're going to get into it. Fix the damn passing game. He's not. That's the greatest misnomer ever. He's not. He's called that because Mizzou's had been pretty good the last couple of years. A year ago, 2 years ago, they were a top 10 team in the country legitimately. Last year, they were a top 20-ish team, and this year they were a top 25-ish team. If you look at like SP Plus and all those metrics. He's not, though. Look, a couple weeks ago, I came on here and I said, hey, you need Matt Zollers needs to develop, and he needs to be your quarterback next year. I no longer believe that to be the case. I think you need to go get a quarterback. There's nothing he has shown me outside of that half against Vanderbilt, where he played very well. No denying it, he played very well in that half against Vanderbilt, all things considered. And that's where I was intrigued by him. But I know he had no receivers, but 12 for 22 for 101 yards and a touchdown. So I've read a lot. I've seen a lot. I didn't have the sound on the game. Was there a reason Sean Terry and Folks didn't play? Because that's the time to use them. I mean, who was playing at wide receiver? You had a sick Kevin Coleman, Alubade, Daniel Blood, Xavier Lloyd, who I saw his one catch, like 2 feet in front of my face, because that's what. Those are like, was it a red shirt thing? I didn't quite see. I'm assuming it had to be a red shirt thing, which I'm not going to get too mad at then. But it's crazy. If you look at, we're still talking about the bowl game. I shouldn't have lied to the people. Mizzou ran 57 plays of offense. Jamal Roberts, 32 of them. Ahmad Hardy, 24. Inexcusable. Taurus Jones also got a look. Inexcusable. They played 73 plays of defense. Marvin Burks, I thought, played okay. Nick Rodriguez, Toriano Pride, a lot of these guys, they'll be missed going into next year. But inexcusable that Ahmad Hardy got 24 plays compared to Jamal Roberts, 32. I like Jamal Roberts. I have nothing against Jamal Roberts. I'm happy he's back next year. But going back to Zollers, you need to get a portal quarterback. You need to get one, and you need to get a good one. If Zollers transfers, so be it. I think the kid's really talented, but nothing he's shown that he should be the starter next year. And you have 2 running backs who are top 10 running backs in the SEC. One might be the best running back in the SEC. We'll see how Kawan Lacey develops next year. The other one's a top 10 running back. You have 2. You got to get a quarterback. And I'm not talking about like Jaden Craig from Harvard. I think he'd be okay, but that's not a sure thing. I'm talking you need to spend money on Dylan Raiola or DJ Lagway or Sam Levitt. Now, Sam Levitt's probably going to LSU, so I'm not, full disclosure, I'm not expecting them to actually get Sam Levitt, but that's the caliber of guy. Pay all the money in the world for Brandon Sorsby. Again, not happening. That's the caliber of guy you need to be going after. You need a quarterback. Yeah, he needs to sit for another year. And if he transfers because he wants to go play somewhere else, so be it. But we're in the business of winning games next year. And you're not going to win games with what I've seen from him. Again, he's a freshman. He didn't play his senior year of high school. Fine. I get it. I'm not I don't think he's untalented. I don't think in 27 he can't be a great quarterback. But this is what's staring you in the face next year. Florida, with a new head coach and a staff that I think they're putting together that is awesome. I think they're putting a really good staff together in Gainesville. You got Texas A&M, who has beaten your ass 2 years in a row. Nice goal, Shen. You go to Ole Miss, who's going to be replacing a lot off of this team, so we'll see what they are. But you're going to Arkansas, but you got Texas. You go to Georgia. You got Oklahoma. So how many teams on this schedule are going to be more talented than you? Florida certainly will be with what they're doing. Texas A&M will be. Texas will be. Georgia will be. Oklahoma will be. We'll see about Ole Miss, and we'll see about Kentucky. Not Kentucky. We'll see about Ole Miss and kind of what Kentucky and Arkansas are, and Mississippi State. Going into next year, Mizzou should pencil in wins against UAPB, Kansas, Troy, Mississippi State, and Kentucky and Arkansas. Let's see. What did I just say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I said pencil in 6 wins. You probably need to get to 9, which means you need to go 3-3. You're not doing that with Matt Zollers right now. Now, there's always a chance he takes a crazy leap in the offseason and becomes awesome, and he's the quarterback next year. I don't think Mizzou's in a spot where you can do that with offensive line, and you kind of have to. This offensive line was not very good. Keegan Trost was awesome. I thought Piegler got better. Caden Green was fine. I think they had a real weakness at guard. And, and center. I don't think their interior O-line was very good at all. I don't think Tollison had a really nice last year at Mizzou. I think Tollison had a nice career. He was very good for 2 years, but I just don't think he played well this year. But you need to develop offensive linemen, not in the same way you need to develop quarterback. You need to go get one. Mestamaker's in the portal, and he'd be a guy Zollers probably transfers out because you can keep Mestamaker for a couple years. Sorsby, there's a ton of guys in the portal, and there's going to be more. Go get one. You need a quarterback. You need a quarterback in the worst way. This passing attack cannot be this again next year. It just can't. If it sucks again, look, Mizzou fans, I think are very underrated nationally. I think Mizzou has a very awesome fan base, and I know I'm biased, but I just think that's the truth. I think Mizzou does have a great fan base, but it can be a fickle one. It can be. I don't think you're going to lose the fan base because of an 8-5 season. If Mizzou loses the fan base because of an 8-5 season, that's ridiculous because at like 8-5, it's not bad. It's not horrible, especially as a top 25 team, top 25 to 30 team in most analytics. But if you're 8-5 again, or God forbid, 7-5, if you're around that again, and you're horrible offensively, just mediocre as hell, fans will tune out. They will. This isn't as much as this isn't Iowa where it's been ingrained in that fan base that, we're going to have a crap offense. And their offense was pretty decent this year. Completely agree. 8-5, yeah, that's fine. But if you go again 8-5 and your offense is miserable in big games, it's a slog to every drop back for the second half of the season was a negative play. It just was. Then this fan base is going to have issues. I mean, we're seeing it right now in basketball. Missouri, Dennis Gates has led Mizzou to the two best seeds it's had since 2012. Its first tournament win since 2010, and half the fan base wants him fired, including kind of me. Sometimes we'll see. I'm going to the game next Saturday, but this passing attack cannot suck next year. So anyway, before we dip more into the portal, we've got NFL Watch. 3 names we're all watching: Caden Green, Damon Wilson, and Trotter. If I had to guess, I think 2 of them come back. I couldn't tell you which 2. I kind of hope it's Wilson and Green. As great as Trotter was, as great as he was, I think Beasley, Rodriguez, Jacobs is a pretty good linebacking core, and I think you can find good linebackers in the portal easier than all SEC edge rushers and NFL-level linemen. And I think another year of Peagler, Green, and whoever they bring in at O-line. They're probably going to bring in a guy, maybe 2, that could start. We don't know everyone that's in the portal. I'm not speculating who's going to go into the portal, so we'll see what happens. But Trotter has been amazing, but if he were to go, I'd probably be the least upset over the 3, just because now you have Damon Wilson at edge to go with Darius Smith and to go in with probably a DN you need to bring in from the portal to be that third rotational pass rusher. With some of the young guys and Anderson behind him. Right now you've got from the bowl game, you got Darius Smith. You're going to lose Zion Young. You have Damon Wilson coming back, of course. Langdon Kitchen's always an option to go to the portal. So I would rather bring back Wilson and Caden Green. But we'll keep an eye out. Those kind of things will impact Mizzou's portal plans. If Damon goes, you're gonna need a couple DNs in the portal. Actually, let's just go ahead and get into it. So the transfer portal opens up Friday. Several Mizzou players have announced their intentions: Josh Manning, Javian Hilson, Marquise Davis, Henry Fanuku. A ton of guys have put in there. I would not be shocked if I sit here next Saturday or next Monday is going to be prepared for this. If you like the show, next Monday is going to be a long show, probably, because we'll know everybody that's in the portal. We'll kind of have an idea of who Mizzou's really going after. They might even have a couple commitments by then. This show is just kind of this is what I think they need. I think you need a quarterback, and I think you need to take the best quarterback you can. If Zoller's feelings are hurt, so be it. Take 2. There's guys out there like a Davis Warren, who could be a fine backup, where it's oh God, if you have to turn to him, you're screwed. But you know what? It is what it is. Any team is screwed if you have to play your backup. We just saw that. And Bo wasn't very good to begin with. Mizzou wins that bowl game with Bo, by the way. Not that it really matters because he wasn't good either. But in the portal, you're gonna need a quarterback. I firmly think you're gonna need a quarterback to start. I think you need a guy with a little mobility. You're not a pocket guy. Raiola is the guy I would love to have. I think he could elevate this pass game if Chip Lindsey is who they want us to believe he is. We talked about Chip Lindsey last week. A lot of Michigan people say his passing concepts were actually pretty decent this year. Bryce Underwood, just being a freshman, couldn't quite see it, and they didn't have good wide receivers either. So it is what it is. You don't need a running back. Firmly don't think you need a running back. You can bring in freshmen. If there's like a freshman that wants to come in, like a freshman that was you could be an interesting spot at running back, or maybe there's like a freshman who's really talented, but it wasn't going to play. It's got blocked or they recruited over him, and you can bring him in to be your third tailback and go, hey, we're going to lose both our running backs going into 27. You can maybe intrigue him that way. But you don't need a guy to come in and be an impact player next year. So that's good. Wide receiver 2 or 3. You'll have Sean Terry. You have folks, again, they might enter the portal. No one from Mizzou's entered the portal since the bowl game, which is weird. Last I checked, and I was checking basically up until about I went live just to make sure. I didn't want to miss anybody. I have my Twitter alerts on. But that's my Blues stuff. Even though I got the game on, I always have alerts. Let's see. Let me check again. Yeah, nope, nothing. The last post that I saw was about Garrett Riley. But you're going to need a couple wide receivers. Now, obviously, the kid from Ohio, Chase Hendricks, everybody has their eye on. Was a high school teammate of Jamal Roberts and Kevin Coleman. Look, he had 1,000 yards in the MAC this year. I think he'd be a really good option, obviously. Other people talk about the kid from Kansas State, Jace Brown. Get them both. Like, you need weapons and you need wide receivers next year. Because if you're a quarterback, how can you you can see Alubade is really talented, obviously. But the issue Mizzou's going to have this year with getting a quarterback and wide receivers is you have to sell them on this offense. You have to sell them. You have to be like, hey, we're going to use our wide receivers. We're going to use the quarterback in the passing game. We're going to have a good passing game. That's not going to be easy to sell after the last 2 years, really. Peeler's a really good recruiter. Now it's all about development. And look, to folks, to Terry, these guys have to develop. And then offensive line, if Caden Green comes back and he wants to play tackle for another year, cool. Peegler's going to come back. He'll play guard. That means you need a center. Tristan Wilson actually played pretty well in the bowl game, so maybe he's your guy at center. Certainly would help to retain and develop. But you need to bring in a guy to play tackle, probably. Richardson is not it. Can Jalen Early with a year of practice be guard? Or Ely, sorry. Can some of these guys that you have on the roster, can Jack Lang finally play? Is Logan Reichert ready? I really do think Mizzou needs to be a program where you get one starter in the portal. Now, if Caden Green leaves, that changes this outlook. But, if you roll in next year with Peegler, Green, Tristan Wilson, Reichert, or whoever, and then one starter from the portal from the ACC or the Big 12 that it's a step up and not a huge step up, like we just saw Keegan Trost, who was very good this year, underratedly good. Even to me, he was really good. So I think that's what kind of the happy balance Mizzou's going to have to find themselves in this season. But yeah, a couple offensive linemen, one who can absolutely start day one next season, a quarterback who can start day one, 2 wide receivers that can be a part of your top 4. You don't need a tight end, and you don't need a running back, and that's just offensively. Defensively, you're going to need a D. If Wilson comes back, you're going to need a D end, preferably an all situation D end, kind of like a Zion Young. Maybe not like this year's Zion Young, but like last year's Zion Young, guy who's good in the run game, can get pressures off the edge. Darius Smith's going to be your third down monster anyway, because that's just what he is, unless he goes in the portal too. That's why this show's kind of fun, because like this could all be out of date in 4 days. Linebacker, even if Trotter leaves, I think you're okay with Jacobs, Beasley, Rodriguez. I think you're okay. If you want to bring in somebody, like if an absolute stud like Trotter comes available, of course, and this goes for all positions, by the way. If an absolute stud comes available, you take him. You should built into your roster projections like 3-4 like best players. Like, oh, we need 2 wide receivers. We need 2 of this. We need 2 of this. Great. Then 3 or 4 like best player available. So I think, but yeah, if an amazing linebacker comes on board available and wants to come to Mizzou, great, take him. Corner, they should be contacting every corner in the portal. They legitimately might need to bring in 3 corners. We'll see how that goes. Safety, they bring back Banner. They bring back Burks. I know they're really high on Trajan Greco. If he doesn't leave, I believe Greco, right? If he doesn't leave, although he only played 1 snap in the bowl game, I think they like Mose Phillips more than he played this year. I just think they trusted Catalan, who didn't have the year I think we all hoped he had. But they trust Burks. They trusted Banner as the season went on. I think at safety they're okay. And then I neglected. You'll need a star though, not like a star. Like you'll need a Dalen Carnell replacement, basically. And then you probably need to bring in the best 2 defensive tackles you can take. Sterling Webb, Graciel, Marshall, like they're good, but you need to take at least 1 stud, another Chris McClellan type. And this is kind of just to get back to the level you were at this year. And that's, with elevated, hopefully a quarterback and wide receiver. And then you don't need a kicker. Blake Craig will be back. He's fine. Blake Craig's a good kicker. You need a punter. Throw every freaking NIL dollar available at a punter, because oh my god, you need a punter in the worst way. It still hasn't happened. We still have the same special teams coach, which is a little strange. That needs to go. But yeah, the biggest thing I think this year is you're going to be on quarterback watch, and it can't be another Bo. It needs to be a guy that has started at a high level and has played high level football. Looking at the guys that are in the portal, Sorsby probably going to Texas Tech. Let's just be real. Sam Levitt, he's LSU or Oregon. He's an Oregon native. Drew Mestamaker, would love him. I think he's probably going to Oklahoma State. Trinidad. Okay, so this article is not okay. Byron Brown, would love it. He stretches the field offensively. He's probably heading to Auburn. He stayed loyal to Golish in the last couple of years. I think he probably ends up staying in that system in the spit on the sidelines offense. Josh Hoover, I would be very intrigued by. 65% completion percentage as a passer, top 5 QBR in the Big 12, which has had good quarterback play. Josh Hoover's kind of a name I would be. He did have 42 turnovers, which is a little upsetting, but I do think he'd be somebody that I would keep an eye on. I like Josh Hoover. I think he instantly elevates your passing attack. I think he's the best pure passer Mizzou will have had since Drew. I mean, I was trying to think of somebody more recently than that, but if you look at Josh Hoover's stats, he completed 65% of his passes, 29 touchdowns, did throw 13 interceptions, but he was asked to do a lot in that TCI. He threw 413 passes, so I don't think he's throwing that many passes at Mizzou. Year before, he threw for 471 times, 27 touchdowns, 11 picks. I think Josh Hoover's a really good player. I would take Josh Hoover at Mizzou in a heartbeat. It's funny. I was thinking the same thing, Gabbert, and I'm like, there had to be someone more recently. And I was like, oh, of course. I don't even think he's as good of a thrower as James Franklin was. But I would like Josh Hoover. Rocco Becht is another guy I would certainly take. I think he's probably headed to Penn State. Dylan Raiola the only issue I have with Raiola is he is a pure pocket passer. He loves to play the Mahomes gimmick, but he can't run nearly as much as Mahomes does. He did break his fibula, so what's his health looking like? DJ Lagway has all the talent in the world. Another guy I would think I would love is he hasn't entered the portal yet, but like CJ Bailey. Anthony Calandria entered from UNLV. No, I saw Anthony Calandria at Virginia. Look, he had a great year at UNLV, but no, absolutely not. Alonzo Bennett from James Madison. No. Aiden Childs. If he had entered last year, I would have probably taken him. If they got him instead of Bo, I would have probably been really happy. I like Aiden Childs, but no. I think he's really talented. I just don't think. But Jonathan, he never developed, unfortunately. And whether it's coaches, players, whatever. Oh, cool. Glad Oregon's getting receivers back, except Evan Stewart. That sucks for them. Obviously, we're not getting Bo. Jackson Arnold, dear God, no. There's other names, and this is from ESPN. Eli Holstein, heavens, no. Billy Edwards, no. Dylan Lonergan, no. Ashton Daniels, heck no. And Tavian Jackson, no. Eli Holstein is legitimately terrible. So, dear God, no. FCS, Jaden Craig. I've seen his name tied to Mizzou a couple times. I like Jaden Craig. I just want a guy that has played at this level. He completed 61% of his passes as a career at Harvard. Well, how's that going to establish at Mizzou? Colton Joseph would be interesting. He would be an interesting guy. He did run for 1,000 yards at Old Dominion, threw for 2,600-ish yards. The Old Dominion did win 9 games this year. Really impressive. I would be really intrigued by Colton Joseph. I know I just said I want to see a guy, but I think Joseph's skill set, where he is a legitimate dual threat quarterback, would be really, really intriguing for me. Another guy I've kind of seen tied to Mizzou is Caden Hauser. He was a Michigan State player, Michigan State recruit. He had a nice year, 66% completion, 28 touchdowns, 10 turnovers. Eastern Carolina did go 8-4. Threw for 366 against NC State. I just don't like. What are you trying to be? Are you trying to be good next year? You can talk me into like a Colton Joseph, where his game translate. Maybe he's not going to run for 1,000 yards. Maybe he runs for 700 yards. And he throws for 500, throws for 2,500 yards. Like I can see that, and I can picture that. I can't, and Mizzou goes 10-2. I can't picture Caden Hauser as the leader of that. The kid from any of these other FCS kids, I'm not really intrigued by. Jalen Rayner 2 years ago, yeah, I would have been really intrigued by, but after that, no. Other guys, Parker Navarro, Braden Fowler, Nicolosi, heavens no. There's going to be some guys in the portal. We're going to see that are going to backups. Is Austin Simmons going to enter the portal from Ole Miss? I think Austin Simmons is really talented. But it is always interesting to me that Lane picked the wrong quarterback. Like good coaches pick the wrong quarterback. It happens. Kyle Whittingham picked the wrong quarterback. Saban has picked the wrong quarterback. Kenny Minchie from Notre Dame. No, I think he's probably heading to Cincy, but no. Aaron Philo from Georgia Tech. Yeah, I would be interested in Aaron Philo. He was Haynes King backup. He played really well this year. He has 3 years remaining. If he's a guy I would take at Mizzou. He's a big physical runner. He can throw the football. Georgia Tech, I know, is really going to try their damnedest to hold on to him. I know they really, really like him. Will he follow Buster Faulkner to Florida? Will he look at other programs? I don't know. Or will he stay at Georgia Tech? But if he's a guy that does enter the portal, again, I said I wouldn't speculate, but this is an ESPN article, so I'm not like throwing names out there. I would definitely a guy I would take a look. Ethan Gruckmeyer from Penn State. He didn't look too bad once Penn State kind of like got over the shock of that their season was over after Northwestern. Looked okay against Ohio State. I think he's fine. I don't know if he's a guy that I'd want at Mizzou next year, but certainly an intriguing name. He's gonna go. He's gonna go somewhere. He's going to go somewhere, and it'll be cool. And then they also list Lincoln Kienholz, the guy who reportedly almost beat out Julian Saint. People have told me it was a legitimate battle, so I wouldn't take him. He has not announced he's entering the portal. I got to imagine he will because Saint's coming back for another year. Other quarterbacks, Bryce Baker, no. I don't want any of these unproven guys. Aaron Noland, no. Boy, it just did not work out for Aaron Noland. He went to South Carolina thinking he'd sit for a year. Might sit for a year and then after Sellers leaves, go play for South Carolina. That just did not work out. Heard anything about where Bo might go? Virginia Tech to play again for Franklin, or back to Penn State, kind of depending on what Campbell wants to do and what Rocco Beck wants to do. Those are the two main ones I've heard. I think Bo could be a really decent like quarterback at TCU or a good Big 12 team. I'm not saying I'm not saying at Kansas State or not Kansas State. That's making me say Kansas or some of these other programs that are a little lower on those totem poles, like Boston College. I think he could play at a Virginia Tech or, I don't think he's going to be an option at Texas Tech, but some of these other schools. I probably ends up back with Franklin and as their starter next year, as Franklin tries to rebuild that program, and it is a rebuild. It's good that Bo will be good for them. I think he can kind of stabilize things for a year. I don't think they're expecting to be good until 2027, maybe even 2028. And yeah, we'll always have that Kansas game, man. Like that game. He made some throws that game I did not physically know he could make. He was so good. And then it just all fell apart. I mean, he threw for 334, 30 of 39 for 334 and 3 touchdowns. And it just never worked out after that, unfortunately. But that's kind of portal talk. I think quarterback's your biggest question right now, biggest need. And look, I'm not making any claims. I think you need to make a quarterback. So next week's show will be a little more about who's in the portal, who's Mizzou looking at, who are coaches following on Twitter, things like that. But obviously there's not a ton of that going on right now. But the Mizzou coaches have talked to some players, but there's just too many for me to be like, no, we'll get into it next week. I think we'll end on my predictions for Wednesday night into Thursday for the playoff. Wednesday night, we have Miami and Ohio State. Plus, they're following people. None of that matters. We'll see who they bring on campus or who they have set up visits for. The portal's open for a week. I imagine most players will go in by the time. I'm here next Monday. Anyway, so Wednesday, you got bowl games all day. Enjoy them. Miami plays Ohio State in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. For some reason, I keep seeing Ohio State accounts tweet out like how no one believes in them, even though they're 10.5-point underdogs. Ohio State rolls. I don't think Miami's putting up 10 points on them. And I think Ohio State can get to 24. You'll see what Ohio State's kind of done to a lot of teams. They'll get up 17-7, 17-3, 17-6, and then just put them in an anaconda vice and put them to sleep. Make them go night-night. I just don't think they can compete at all. Miami has some good pieces on defensive line. I think their offensive line is very good. I think their defensive line is very good. I think they're a really talented team, but I think Ohio State's an even more talented team. They have a better quarterback. They have better weapons. Tony is an outstanding football player, but there's no real second option in that pass game. Whereas they have Carnell Tate and all these guys because they're Ohio State. So, and then we get into Thursday, New Year's Day, Oregon plays Texas Tech. I'm going to take Oregon. They're getting healthy. And Oregon healthy is a really scary team. Yeah, probably. He says Bad Carson probably shows up. Yeah, probably. I mean, wouldn't be shocking. God, having a mouse has been so nice. because like my trackpad is so bad on my laptop. Anyway, I'm going to take Oregon. I think this is probably the game I'm most excited for, just to watch, because I think it's two teams that can score points. I think Texas Tech's D-line is incredible. And I think the Oregon offensive line has gotten better, and I think their team has gotten better, and especially now that they're healthy. I'm going to take Oregon in a close one. A game I don't think I'll be taking my eyes off of. Alabama, Indiana. I'm going to take Indiana. The line's a little high for me. Look, we've seen Indiana play 4 good teams. They played Oregon, won by 10. Didn't play great. Played really well. Let me rephrase. Played very well and won a game in Eugene. Nothing to smirk at. They played Iowa. That game was, close until the final whistle. Penn State was not a good team, but that's a really good roster, and they won at the Horn. And then Ohio State. Indiana does not blow out these good rosters. Let me rephrase. They don't blow out great rosters, and Alabama has a great roster. I still think Indiana wins. I think it's going to be another really fun football game. I actually am really excited for this quarterfinals. Like outside of Ohio State, Miami, I think that's going to be an ugly game. But I'm excited for these 3 on Thursday. But I think Indiana wins something like 27-23, something along those lines. And they hold on and they go to the semis, which Indiana football is going to be in the semis. That's so crazy. If you look, Ryan Day's amazing, Kirby's amazing, Curt Cignetti's the best coach in the sport. He just is. Like, he's just the best ball coach in the sport. You can't really argue with that right now. We'll see what he does. Indiana's trying to break the talent national title thing, where you have to have a certain talent level, and I scream that from the rooftops, and Indiana's trying to break that and prove everyone I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because it opens the avenue for a lot more teams as the games go on. And then Ole Miss, Georgia. This was a really good game a couple months ago in Athens. What version of Ole Miss shows up? They played some really inspired football against Tulane. Now you're playing a good team. Now you're playing a really good football team on a neutral site in New Orleans. So it's going to be kind of a home game, although Georgia fans travel. What do you have in the tank for this game? With everything that's gone on in the last month, what do you have left in the tank? We'll find out when they play Georgia. Should be another fun football game. Pete Golding's first real test as a head coach. So I think that'll about wrap it up for me tonight. You are watching Missouri Tigers Live. I'm Zach Ramelius, as I am here every Monday to talk about our old Missouri Tigers here on the Voice of College Football. You can follow me at PsychoZ50. You can follow Mark Rogers at the Voice of College Football. And tune in next Saturday, or tune next Monday. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to see kind of what Mizzou's plan is at portal, who they're potentially looking at grabbing. And, it's going to be a lot of fun. So you guys all have a great night. This is a really fun college football. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday. Everyone stay safe, please, on New Year's. Get a sober driver if you need it. Get an Uber. I know they can be expensive, especially that night, but take care of yourselves. Be smart, and enjoy the football, the NFL last regular season NFL weekend. Enjoy college basketball if that's your cup of tea. That's where I'll be this weekend. And enjoy, obviously, the college football we have Wednesday into Thursday and the rest of bowl season. Thank you guys all for tuning in. MIZ, and I will see you next Monday.